Do you have to spend mana to advance tech? Nope. Well, kind of, actually. I mean, I'm spending mana to move my citizens and pops and stuff around. And that's giving us this research efficiency multiplier, which affects our advances. When we hit 100% progress, we automatically get the advance. So I'm spending the monarch points, but not directly. I'm not buying the tech. Does that make sense? Macedon loses 168 ducats. Prepaulus into civic capacity informs us an opportunity has arisen. One of our most valued temples is in dire need of renovation. No. I mean, if we had the money, I'd probably do it, but we don't, so. Time for a new omen. Envoy wants to give us money. I say yes. You want military access? This is fine. So it's been 5 years. We can re-up our omen. Research points. Where that multiplier affects is here. So we'd be going from 20 plus 5 plus 5. Right now we have 130%. This omen would give us an extra 11.4. So we're actually gaining 8.7% more effective research over this because of the way additive math works. Because we're just playing tall, we don't really need to worry about aggressive expansion or discipline or any of this other stuff. I'd probably just keep stack the monarch research points. It's fine. Can you develop your provinces in Imperator? I guess the closest thing akin to developing your provinces would be stacking growth rates. Your pops are your development. You don't have... You do have infrastructure, right? So, like, we've got these marketplaces, which are important. These marketplaces make it so that we get a total of 30% more taxes and commerce in this city versus, say, in Tariana, which has no buildings. So these people are better than these people. But that doesn't mean much, really. Like, I don't know. See what I mean? Yeah, these are mercs. If you have the money, you can just hire them. But we don't really need mercs because we're playing tall. And there we go. We have our first advance. Oratory advances, advance. Oratory advances, advance. The effect is country civilization level plus 2%. So now we have a base country civilization floor of 42%, which means that this plus the marketplaces means that we can actually go up to 48 civilization, which means that as we continue to get more and more civilization value, the base happiness value from civilization will kind of take up the majority of the happiness source, allowing for either tyranny or for aggressive expansion, or possibly to stop trading for precious metals. If we don't need it because civilization happiness covers the local citizens' happiness from precious metals, then we could trade for something else. Make sense? What's the third group of people? We've got citizens, freemen, tribesmen, and slaves. So tribesmen are kind of like halfway in between freemen and slaves. They do some tax, some manpower. And depending on the type of government you play with, you'll have, like, let's say you play in, like, Iberia. These guys are all... This is a settled tribe, so for the most part, they won't have citizens. They'll have mostly tribesmen, very few slaves. That kind of thing. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, balloon popper. Yeah, people are basically your development. They're mobile, you can move them around. Development, they can be affected by your buildings. In my experience, you do want to have, like, severe focus, right? So you'll have, like, a city that has lots of marketplaces, lots of citizens. You'll have a city that is lots of freemen with lots of training camps. Sporadic fortresses for strategic value. Maybe some granaries if you really need them for some reason, but for the most part, I've never had to build any. Trying to go up to an 8th building slot's gonna be pretty damn hard. We'd have to get another 10 pops here. I mean, we could do it, but it's not like in EU4 where You know, going from 30 dev to 40 dev is far more expensive than going from 20 dev to 30 dev. So we could just keep piling more and more pop here. The drawback is that the higher the population gets, the more the growth rate is reduced. See how it says city population minus 0.60? Every single citizen or slave or any population unit reduces the growth rate here by 0.1%. So if we had 10 more pops here, our growth rate in the capital will go down to 0.21. But I don't care. I don't think it matters. I do think we'll probably pile another pile of people here. Preferably a whole bunch of extra citizens. Only problem is that it costs a lot of civic power, and I was kind of hoping to do some more of the investments. If we could get a discount to our citizen movement cost or to our freeman movement cost, then I would move them and then promote them. But our government type, I guess you have to be, I think it's a republic that has the law that I'm thinking of. I'm positive that there was a minus 50% freeman movement cost, not citizen promotion cost. And it was on this side of the screen. I was playing it just like yesterday or the day before. How can you get citizens? Natural growth, conquest, and capturing? Well, you can promote. You can freely promote your citizens. But yeah, I think for right now, we're going to spend our diplo points promoting more citizens. And we'll keep on doing civic points into the other thing. Now, I think strategically, as soon as we get to 800 military power, we're going to get a pop-up saying, you can do a military advance. You can do a tradition. And you're like, oh, click, click, great. But if you wait and you notice that buried in this tooltip, fourth line from the bottom, as soon as you get your first martial advance, you get military tradition cost minus 25%. So if you just wait till you get your martial advance to level 1, you can get your first tradition for 600 points instead of 800 points. There we go, civic advance. So we got monthly wages for characters, minus 1%. National commerce income goes up a little bit. And we also got our martial advance, giving us 0.1 base morale of armies, 0.1 base morale of navies. Our army maintenance goes up a little bit, and then we get that discount to tradition cost. And then there's the alert. Now we'll take it. And I think we will go for this raid ports ability. So we're going to get cohort starting experience plus 10% and experience decay reduction. Notice how the next one costs plus 50%. So it's kind of like in Stellaris with, what are they called? The Unity bonuses that you can pick up. As you take more and more of them, the cost goes up additively, so... But that 25% discount still applies, right? Without that, we'd be paying 1,200 points. Archon Eucrates offers friendship. Sure, I'll be friends with somebody, because we go to war all the time. No, we don't. Yeah, we have some money, so let's do another building. I said I was going to bump pop up to 70 here. But what points would we spend on that? I mean, we don't really have enough slaves. Do we? Looks like I could pull like 10 slaves from these 3 provinces. And if we made it 13, then we could actually get another instance of wine. And it's really cheap to move slaves for us, so yeah. All right, I'm trying to decide if I actually want to keep 1 slave or if I want to go down to 0. Someone had mentioned earlier that exporting to get rid of the last one had stopped us from growing that population unit. I mean, we're going to get slaves from raiding, and slaves are definitely worse than citizens because to convert a slave into a citizen requires 3 instances of promotion. You've got to promote from slave to freeman, freeman to citizen. So based on that logic, I think it's probably better to get rid of all slaves in a province so you're not growing You're not wasting your population growth, which is super slow, on the worst unit type. Does that make sense? You guys, are you with me with that? Also, I'd like to test that. Let's see if we can find one. Okay. Here we're growing pops. Let's see. If we export all 5 of these slaves, do we lose this 29.25% progress towards the next slave? And I'd like to confirm that having no pops here that are slave type will cancel this growth of this type and move to either citizens or freemen. So we'll kind of bank that number in the back of your head, 29.25. I want to see if that transfers to the next pop type, or if it just disappears and we start back over from 0. So right now it's at 29.25. Let's see what happens in the next month. Interesting. It's still showing that it's progressing. The freemen from Nicopolis Nezen. Large group of freemen have left the city of Nicopolis Nezen. Nicopolis. So from one of our, like, subject nations, there are some freemen here. We can say it'll be fine, and then Syra gets freeman settlers. We gain 2 extra pops in Syra. Sure. Let a day pass. I've let more than 1 day pass so far. I think we actually had a monthly tick. Where was it? This one. There's our oratory advance. Here comes the monthly tick. Yeah, no, look. Okay, so whoever said that, you were mistaken. We're still growing a slave pop. It's now at 30.25. Still progressing every month. So I don't know how the game is deciding which pop type to grow. I haven't been able to confirm or figure that out at all, but... Alright, so here we need 39 slaves to get the next bonus with Pella. So let's move 4 more. So we've gone a little bit higher than necessary on population count to unlock the next building slot, but we also just gained an extra surplus of wine, which we can sell. That's kind of disappointing, actually. I would have preferred it if we could force it to grow specific pops by promoting everyone else out. It'd be kind of cool. We're up to 165.8% research efficiency now. And we've got plenty of money. So, I guess strategically here, at what point do we want to start not spending money on buildings and instead start spending money to just buy monarch points? Is there a point where you would want to do that with a playing tall type strategy, I wonder? So okay, again, if you're just joining now and you don't understand why I'm not declaring wars, we're playing tall. You guys voted on that, that's what we're doing. It's actually a valid strat, it's good. We're strong, like, it might not seem like we're strong because we haven't really done anything, but our income is great. Like, we make 15 surplus ducats a month. We have plenty of manpower just sitting around with nothing to spend it on. If anyone were to attack us, we could just kick their ass. And I guarantee, 100% guarantee, that we are leaps and bounds ahead of the AI with respect to technology. You take a look at like a major power like Egypt. 0 martial advances, 0 oratory, 0 religious, 0 civic. And right now we're already at 1111. We can easily get to 2222, possibly even 3 before he even gets to 1. Based on this playing tall strategy that I'm showing you guys. We could declare war to steal pops, but here's the drawback. First off, there's no Casus Belli map mode like in EU4, so it's kind of, I think, frustrating to try to figure out who you can attack. The best way I've found to do it is you right-click on your country, you look at this line here, Casus Belli. You can see we have a claim on Thrace, we have a claim on Phrygia, the Seleucid Empire, and on Egypt. These are scripted claims we got because we're Macedon. In order to get any other claim, we would have to spend 180 Diplo points, 180 oratory power in order to fabricate the claim. 180. Kind of a lot. Considering that means that that's 20. That's 20 freemen we could promote into citizens. And continue to stock up on research efficiency. Or we could just declare no CB war, which is 2 negative stab. And the base price in this game compared to EU4, it's not 100 to boost stab, it's 200. So to boost stab from, where are we? It would cost 276 right now because we're at +1. If we were at 0 or negative, then it would cost 200 base. By war, you get more pop. You get more slaves. Slaves are good, but they're also one of the worst pop types if you're trying to play tall. Notice how this list got bigger, and eventually there will be a scroll bar here. Because we got all these oratory advances, we have unlocked a bunch of like new inventions. So you kind of got to like reassess this list each time. Supply limit, siege ability, heavy infantry discipline +10, an extra capital route that we could use for importing more trade goods to try to get another bonus. We could just have research points +10%, civic investment +5. Again, I'm not complaining, but like, I feel like it's very easy because of the way Paradox does math to not really recognize the relative value of these two ideas, these two inventions. This one, 5%, is so bad compared to this one. But they cost the same exact amount, so you kind of assume that they're equal. Or at least they should be equal. See, civic tech investment, what that's going to do is take this bonus from 95 to 100, which means, wrong screen, bust out your calculator. We're going to go from a 1.95 multiplier to a 1.95 plus 0.05 equals 2 multiplier, which means we are gaining 2.56% increased research efficiency on one of the 4 categories. 2.5% on 1%, on one of them, okay? Or we could take the 10% research points bonus, which applies to every single province, every single city that we own. And right now we have research bonus of 20 plus 5 plus 5 plus 11.6. 20 plus 5 plus 5 plus 11.6. So we have 141.6% research point efficiency. We could have an extra 10, so 141.6 plus 10 divided by what we had before. 7% more overall research points on all 4 technologies. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have 2.5% on 1 out of 4 or 7% on all of them? You see why I feel like this is like, it's like, wow. It's just such a huge disparity in the value between the two. I mentioned a while back we should save up oratory power to allow us to change off of this bellicose stance, since we're not really declaring any wars. I'd rather switch over to like mercantile stance, but you can't even see the modifiers unless you have enough points to spend it. So we gotta get to 100. Friends across borders, gain 20 opinion with a guy and lose 88 ducats. Yeah, it's my money, can't have it. What's the point of research if you can't use it? What do you mean? We're getting tons of benefit out of this. You can go up to 300% maximum efficiency. We're only at 178. We could go even higher. Like, we can almost double what we're getting right now. At the current speed that we're researching, we're gaining an advance about once every 50 months, which is about, 4 years. That's pretty damn fast. Is 300% a hard cap? Yes. I believe that... I don't think it's really possible to go beyond that. It'd be very difficult to approach it anyway, because... to do that, you would have to be generating... your entire country would have to be citizens. And they'd have to be generating, like, great modifiers. Perfect modifiers to happiness, to research point generation, etc. Is tech as much of a big deal as it is in EU4? It is. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, if you're playing EU4, we all know from experience that going from military tech 3 to military tech 4 is a huge bonus in overall military power. Tech 1, effectively, gives 0.1 morale of armies. So if you look at your military stats, it's not as significant as tech 3 to tech 4, but going with a base morale of armies of 3 and getting an extra 0.1, it becomes very significant. And every martial advance gives that extra plus 0.1 morale of armies. So, you know, if you get 2 or 3 oratory advances ahead, that's like having a tech 4 advantage over someone who's at tech 3. There's someone wanting that extra wine, which is fine. Epic Writer! Alright, I've tried this guy before, and I think he rips you off. I don't know. A man approaches us with a request from a room, for a room, and some help to write a grand tale for the ages. He promises us he will make sure to include Macedon in the tale, so it will be beneficial for us as well as himself. If he managed to write this epic, he will receive the goodwill of common folk as well as showing everyone what wise, beneficial rulers we are. I feel like that should say benevolent, not beneficial. Like, we're just paying him, basically. So the writing begins, we lose a lot of money, which we don't have. Or we can give him a little bit less, or we can send him on his way. Let's set a room aside. We'll try it. We make good money. Make like 14, 15 ducats a month right now. I am going to change over from the bellicose stance. Or if you guys really insist, we could go do some, like, war. We could find someone to attack. The thing is, if we just wait, if we just play tall for a while, then we can basically power ahead of everyone else, and we can get down to this 4th tradition, and then we can just raid ports to enslave people. We don't actually have to wage war to get slaves, you know? I feel like we should just play tall, right? Like, we should do a dedicated play tall strat so you guys can see if it's actually valid. Like, if we try to hybridize it, it's going to be less obvious, you know?